Welcome back. Some Senate Republicans already taking issue with the House's recently passed budget over concerns that the committee in charge of finding $880 billion in savings will have to dip into Medicaid to do so. However, Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson says it doesn't go far enough on reductions and spending cuts. He wants spending to be brought down to pre-pandemic levels. Senate Majority Leader John Thune says the House bill does not have enough money to extend the Trump tax cuts indefinitely, while also paying for other priorities like no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. The bill provides $4.5 trillion over the next 10 years to make the 2017 tax cuts permanent. House Speaker Mike Johnson talked about it last night on Hannity. Watch.
It's going to end in success. We are going to accomplish this mission. If we fail in this mission, everyone will see the largest tax increase in U.S. history at the end of this year when the Trump-era tax cuts expire. We have to extend them. There's been a little disagreement about the best way to get there, but I think we're going to come up with a product that is a framework that both chambers can work under.
Joining me now is Montana Senator Steve Daines. Senator, it's great to have you this morning. Thank you so much for being here. So what happens now that the House passed the reconciliation bill? The Senate has to have the identical budget in place, right? What happens in the Senate?
Yeah, well, I had a great meeting Monday in the Oval Office with President Trump. In fact, Scott Bessent and Howard Lutnick joined by speakerphone, and we talked with the president about the importance of making his tax cuts from 2017 permanent. Failure for Congress to act, as Speaker Johnson just pointed out, will result in the largest tax increase in American history. It's a $4.5 trillion tax increase if Congress doesn't act by the end of the year. So what's going to happen is, first, is we're cheering what the House just did. That's good news. It's moving forward. And now the House and the Senate will get together. We will get on one page. We'll make sure these tax cuts are permanent, so we remove this looming $4.5 trillion tax increase coming somewhere down the road, come together on one bill, and needs to be passed in both chambers.
So you will now change course and do one bill since it passed, as opposed to the two-bill track that the Senate has been on.
Yeah, I think that's the path we're going to be on. Clearly, there's going to be some additional discussions going on yet today and through the weekend. But to me, the best path forward now is to take what the House passed, and then we'll take what the Senate wants to do. We will come up with a singular bill, pass it in the Senate, pass it in the House, and put it on President Trump's desk. Look, this is the most important thing we can do to ensure the economy keeps growing, wages keep growing, ensure that America remains globally competitive, is to make the Trump tax cuts from 2017 permanent. Remove that uncertainty that the uncertainty of Washington, D.C. presents to businesses and the American people. Take that off the table, make it permanent.
And do you find that the cuts already identified are enough? Because, you know, we know what happened during the pandemic, where the Biden administration sent way too much money out, $7 trillion in spending, sending inflation to, 40-year highs. And of course, you've got interest, the single largest item in the budget behind Social Security, more than spending on defense, Medicare, and children.
Maria, our passion for spending reductions must be equal to our passion for keeping tax rates low. Okay. You look back at 2019, the federal budget was about, spending about $4.5 trillion. Now we're $7.3 trillion, an increase of nearly 60% just since 2019. We need to find ways to make real, not phony, spending decreases. It's going to be necessary, by the way, to get buy-in from Republicans. I will not support phony spending reductions. I support permanence in the tax rates, making sure the Trump tax cuts stay permanent. But I'm going to have to see significant spending reductions as well as most Republicans here, if we're going to get this passed.
Let me move on to the president's energy priorities. The president canceled a Biden-era license allowing Chevron to produce and export Venezuelan oil. Trump says the Maduro regime is not complying with the deal to promote free elections in the country. He also told Truth Social that Venezuela is not taking back violent migrant criminals like Tren de Aragua, despite agreeing to do so. Senator, what are your thoughts on the implications of this license going away for Chevron?
Well, look, I applaud what President Trump did and what Secretary Rubio is doing as it relates to Venezuela. Basically, what this administration is doing is reversing the Biden-era policies that put America last and dictators first. Think about what Joe Biden did. He stopped the Keystone Pipeline. He put a pause on LNG exports. He impeded the ability for us to drill more in America. At the same time, removed the sanctions from Iran. He enabled Venezuela to export more oil. What President Trump is doing, he's restoring world order. He knows who the good guys are and the bad guys. The good guys are America. We need more American energy production, and we need to stop depending on Venezuela and Iran for oil.
And in terms of the cabinet, you tweeted out that you were thanking John Thune. The Senate is filling President Trump's cabinet with his all-star picks in record time. Your thoughts on the next confirmations? Well,
look, John Thune, kudos to John, great friend of mine. I'm a big supporter of John Thune, thrilled that he is now the majority of the United States Senate. We're at the fastest pace of moving forward with cabinet nominations for president in 25 years.
Wow.
I remember when I met with President Trump back in February of 2023, when I took over chairmanship of the NRSC to make sure we got the Republican majority in this last election, I said, President Trump, the most important thing we can give you is a Republican majority in the Senate, because you don't want to talk to Chuck Schumer about getting your cabinet appointments through someday. And thankfully, we had 4 pickup seats, have 53 Republicans supporting President Trump, and thanks to John Thune's great leadership.
Meanwhile, President Trump confirmed that he will host the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, at the White House tomorrow to sign a finalized critical rare earth minerals deal. This ahead of the president's speech, the joint session of Congress next week. Senator, this deal is really interesting. I think it's terrific for the United States to be able to tap into the rare earth minerals of Ukraine and lessen the reliance on China. Tell us about that, and also, what are you expecting on Tuesday night from the president?
Well, I'll tell you, first of all, on the Ukraine minerals deal, this is an idea that Lindsey Graham and I pitched to President Trump about a year ago, a way to kind of collateralize the aid that was being provided to Ukraine and make sure Ukraine has skin in the game with America in terms of the resources going there. So I think it's a great outcome. I'm really glad to see President Trump close this deal on critical minerals. I think what's also important is that China controls about 70% of the critical minerals in the world right now. This is a way for us to reduce dependencies on China and make sure we've got other supply chains on critical minerals. Relating to President Trump's speech, get ready for a raucous night. You're going to have Republicans cheering. You're going to have them standing up and applauding. I got to believe when you watch the Democrats, they'll be sitting on their hands, looking, they'll be scowling and staring down at their feet as we celebrate this moment of President Trump restoring American greatness.
Well, what political trick will the Democrats do? Will they not stand at all? Will they wear all white? Will they wear different colors? I mean, they try to do something all the time to send a message, right?
No. Maria, it's going to be a circus, no doubt about it. Sometimes I go to the State of the Union addresses, you feel like you're in 2 different countries, like there's 2 different flags flying or something. But I can tell you what, the red, white, and blue will be flying with President Trump. You'll have Republicans cheering. We're off to a great start in this first 30 days.
All right, we look forward to that. Senator, it's good to see you this morning. Thank you so much.